Hey guys, Coach Dan back again with another push workout. So today we got push. Today I personally have a busy day, so we've got to get in there, get it done, get after it. Should be good. So yesterday the topic of discussion was muscle growth and how muscles grow. And again, the things that is most associated with muscle growth as far as evidence and research goes is tension. So the idea now today is we want to apply tension to the target muscles. So I've got chest, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm choosing exercise that I can apply tension. I want to provide more tension over time. So the goal today is to see if I can get a little bit better and add some more tension now, or progressively make my muscle, put my muscle under more tension, right? So with that in mind, how can I go about doing that? Well, increasing the weight would be an option, but it's not the only option. Sometimes it can be an extra rep here and there. Sometimes it can be an extra set here and there. But the goal is to provide more tension to your muscles over time. And that's how they continue to grow and grow again and grow again. We have to continue to provide more, that progressive overload. So let's get after it. We go push. I've got my special dingle bar, which I'll show you in a second. The Cambered bar first up. We just keep rolling this week. Great. Just get in there, keep working, having fun. And these are the kind of weeks dreams are made of. All right, see you out there. Very exclusive gym today. It's only me here. That's pretty cool. High value member. All right. First up, we have the low incline Cambered bar bench press. Against this essentially kink in the bar is going to allow larger range of motion, bigger stretch through the chest at the moment. We're going to milk that stretch out. Again, recent evidence is suggesting that the stretch part of a movement is really effective for muscle growth. So we milk and get that big stretch through the muscle, and then we squeeze as we push it up and away. The low incline potentially allows me to work some of the fibers up towards the collarbone or clavicle. So when training the chest, something to keep in mind is that the chest kind of comes from your arm here, and then some of it's coming in towards your sternum, some of it comes across here and sort of attaches into the inner third of your clavicle, and then some down towards your ribs. So often doing movements, or I choose to do movements that essentially are working all those different areas. So it's just ticking a box to make sure we're developing everything equally. So as far as the bench press goes, set the hands, take it over the top of the chest, control, milk that stretch. Oh yeah, all right, so we're going to do 3 sets there. Focus on the chest, upper part for this one. So 3 sets, 2 heavier sets, and then 1 light set I like for this one. So let's build it up, let's warm up. Let's get ready. Now, every man knows, male should I say, your value as a male once you enter the gym is completely the same as the amount that you bench press. So your value goes up the higher your bench press goes up. Nah, that's jokes, but the issue with this one is, or what people might find is, the weight goes down. But again, if we can use less weight for more muscle growth stimulus, there's potential advantage to that. Less strain on the body, less stress on the body, and you're getting more of what we actually want if your goal is growth. If your goal is strength, then obviously lifting heavier weights is part of your goal, so that you're going to have to try to lift heavier weights over time. If your goal is muscle growth, we want to get maximum stimulus for less strain on your body, less fatigue to you overall, because then we can do more of it, right? So yeah, this one, you have to check the ego a little bit. I've never been very good at bench press, but even this one, the weight has to go down pretty significantly. But again, I've got the chesticles are popping off now, so I know we've done some good work there. All right, let's go. Okay, we go for incline bench press to machine chest press. So with the incline, again, we're kind of working up in that kind of area there, potentially focusing a bit more towards the top of the chest, some of the chest that goes into towards the clavicle or collarbone, and now we're going horizontal, so bringing the arm across, potentially focusing on some of the sternal fibers of the pec, right? So it's coming in here, my arm's coming across here. Now, we probably don't have to do everything, like, don't have to do one here and just angle a touch and do every single little bit. Just over the course of time, it's probably good to do a little bit of action up here, a little bit across here, a little bit down here like that, just so we're developing all those areas, just to make sure, right? So for my machine chest press, I take this yoga block, I place it behind the shoulder blades, just because our machine here doesn't allow me to get a massive stretch. And I'm essentially pushing out, control, feel the tension in my chest on the way back in, big stretch through the chest, milk the titties. And that's how I kind of roll on this one, right? So this allows me to stretch out. If your machine doesn't allow you to go through a good range of motion, you can use a yoga block like this, get that big stretch. And again, for this one, we're coming horizontal. So I've set the seat height such that my arm is kind of coming across here. I could go up on a chest press like this and my arm would be coming down, or I could even go further down and my arm might even be going a little bit further up. But for me, I'm kind of going horizontally. So I set this mid chest, bring my arm across like that, focus on the sternal pecs. All right, 2 sets here, 10 to 15 reps. Done. 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps. So the good thing about a machine is that it's always nice and stable. The machine doesn't fall off of its path because it's a machine. The free weights, you have to keep your technique sound, you have to keep stability with the bar or anything like that. And potentially that makes it a little bit harder to go or take a muscle close to failure, close to fatigue. So sometimes a combination between the two machines, just go to town. Don't have to worry about balance, stability, or anything like that. You can just make the muscle fail, which is good. 2 sets there. Yoga block for extra stretch. We've got one more chest exercise coming up. All right, last chest exercise, machine fly. So upon reviewing my technique from last week, I'm going to change some things a little bit. So I'm actually going to take the frame up the top here, which is not what the manufacturers were intending when they made this machine, but I want it to come a little bit higher in my path. So with the lower handle, even at the lower seat level, it's not as high as I'd like it to be for what I'm trying to focus on here. So for the flight, big stretch at the back, slight bend at the elbow, bring your shoulders towards one another. So for my particular version, you can see that my hands are ending up somewhere up here instead of down here. So yeah, potentially my arms coming up a little bit there, focusing on the upper portion of the chest. So when you set this machine up for yourself, make sure you take it back as far as your mobility will allow. Milk out that big stretch as far as you can go back. If you can't go back as far as me, that's cool. Just feel the stretch to your range of motion, completely okay. And then come forward from there. So the pec is pulling the arm across the body, and that's how we know we're using the chest, right? Soft elbow will help the bicep chill out a little bit, so we're not feeling heaps of tension in our bicep, so we can just focus on our chest. All right, high rep range here. I'm gonna leave the same weight as last week because I have changed my technique a little bit. Make sure it feels okay at the same weight before we add. Here we go. Machine fly. So setting the height such that we're coming through and working the part of the chest that you want. So today, the first set I didn't like as much. I might have been too low, my hand was coming up too high, so I adjusted on the second set, felt good for me. For this one, we want to milk that stretch, open the chest up, stretch, and then squeeze at the front. All right, so set the handles back far enough that you do get a nice stretch through the chest. And we definitely don't want to be in here just doing this kind of shit, even if it's much heavier weight. Reduce the weight, big stretch, come all the way together. Okay, let's get some lateral delts. Start to focus on building some of these shoulder muscles here. So this is my new lateral deltoid exercise I added in last week. So we're setting up in the small cable machine here, or the functional trainer. So some variables that I'm still working on is the height of the cable machine, the height of the bench. So I'm working them through, I'm setting them up such that I want to make sure it is my lateral deltoid doing the work. So when I set up, take both cables, lie back with them, and we raise. It's almost like a Y raise kind of path for this one. So my arms essentially been pulled down and across my body, trying to stretch out the lateral deltoid, and then almost comes up in that Y form. So figuring out where would be best for this bench to kind of angle that arm, and the height of the cable to angle that arm the way I want it to go. So it's taking a bit of practice. It might take a little bit more practice, but it felt good last week. So we'll do it again this week. We do 5 sets here. So let's get comfy.
So that is the lying cable lateral raise, supine lying on your back. So I think I figured this out as far as setup goes. Really nice. So we've got the cable at the lowest. I got the incline of the bench at the second one up. And again, what I'm looking for is my arm to be pulled down and across my body, really stretch out that lateral deltoid. And then as I raise, or when I go to raise, the path would be such that it goes past the back of my head. So if it kind of angles towards my head in any capacity, which we actually have coming up in a second here, you might incorporate more of the anterior part of your shoulder. But when we go and we raise, we go and we raise, and it kind of misses the back of the head just barely. So then you know we're kind of working a lateral delt. So we set it up such that we're just missing the back of the head. Then I suppose if you go too far back, like things like this, then you might incorporate the rear delt. Now, pretty straightforward like that, sounds quite complex, but just make sure you feel it where you want to be feeling it. And over the course of time, potentially change angles at which you do things. So if this lateral one like this, I know on another day I'm doing a dumbbell one like this. So you're just mixing it up, making sure you're ticking all the boxes. You don't have to be too obsessed like me. You just kind of, change it up a little bit, make sure we're generally in that path. If you feel it where you want to feel it, then you're probably Gucci. Okay, let's move on. All right, next on the agenda, we have the plate-loaded shoulder press. So if my lateral raise is intended to focus on the lateral part of the shoulder or the lateral deltoid, this one now is coming towards my head and we're thinking the anterior part of the deltoid. So I'm only doing 3 sets here because the anterior part also works on a lot of those pressing and chest exercise. It's going to work in that there. So I'll do 3 sets here just to kind of cap them off. But again, when we're doing this, we're thinking about, instead of just pushing this weight up, I'm thinking about pulling my arm towards my head, and that's the anterior deltoids kind of pulling this decision. So in this direction, should I say. So underneath that, you've obviously got the pec, which will pull your arm across. But when we get above the pec, now we're going anterior deltoid, right? Or the front part of your shoulder. So instead of just pressing up, I think about pulling my arm towards my head so I can focus on this. Obviously the tricep has to work to straighten your arm, but that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about pulling this way. So anterior deltoid, pulling your arm towards your head, kind of attaches down here, comes and attaches to the lateral part of your clavicle or collarbone, and we're kind of pulling in that direction. Sort of anywhere towards your head, right? Chin, head, head. When you start to get behind the head, now we're thinking lateral deltoid, right? So above the pec, in front of the deltoid, we're kind of in this sweet spot. Okay, so resets. I go a pretty high rep range here just because I'm a bit fucked up already. Let's get it. bang, bang, bang. 3 sets, 10 to 20 reps. Rep ranges of this can vary. I quite like lighter kind of weights for this. I got an old sporting injury that gives me a bit of grief from time to time, so a little bit lighter on the weight, sometimes higher reps, just go nice and close to fatigue. It also means I can focus on what we're all focused on. So remember, anterior deltoid, pulling the arm towards the head. So if we're setting up something and we want anterior deltoid dominant, we make sure our arm is coming towards the head and the machine is resisting that. So that doesn't mean you're trying to do an exercise and force your arm to come towards your head and then the weight is going in another direction. That's why it's important to set up the machine correctly. So it's going towards the head and the resistance, the path of the machine is resisting me against going in that direction. That means we can focus on that muscle as much as possible, right? 3 sets, 10 to 20, you could do a multitude of rep ranges here. 5 to 10, 10 to 15 will be good. Again, anterior deltoid, pull towards the head. All right, let's go on. Okay, next up we have my cable skull crusher variation. So the setup is a bit funky, but since starting to do this, I felt it was really awesome. So bar, dumbbells, they're all sweet. But when I started doing this, I found it really, really good. So I kept doing it. So we set the cable with the straight bar at the bottom. I've got this box instead of a bench because with the bench I'm too low. It doesn't get me a good range of motion. So I sit, lay back down on it. I've got to kind of find the bar here a little bit, which is part of the fuckery. And then when I'm ready to go, I'll simply get myself set, lock in like that, and it's just like a skull crusher. The resistance feels really nice. Again, when I started doing this one, it just felt really effective, so I've kept doing it. So we'll do 5 sets here. So triceps is a focus for me at the moment. So 5 sets, 10 to 15-ish reps. I got a good weight last week, a personal record for me. So we go up from here. Here we go. So that is the cable machine skull crusher. So a bit of a funky setup here. Got this big box to kind of get me enough range of motion. Straight bar all the way at the bottom. But again, when I slotted this one into my tricep routine, felt really effective. So I've kept doing it ever since and rotated in and out when I don't make progress. So 5 sets there, 10 to 20 reps. I think I do 10 to 15 mostly. But yeah, it feels really good. But you just have to fuck around with the setup to make it suit you. All right, let's move on.
All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. So that's the second push workout of the week done for. So remember, the goal when it comes to building muscle is not just about making yourself sore, it's about adding more tension over time. So how can we do that? We can do more reps, we can do more weight, or a combination of those two things. And then sometimes there will come a certain circumstances where we might have to add sets. So if you find yourself, if all things are equal, your recovery is good, everything else is going good, food's good, everything's good, and you're still not making progress, there can often be a time to also add a set here and there. So you might go, oh, I'm doing 10 sets for a muscle group per week. I'm not getting progress anymore. Maybe we could go 20% increase, so then 12 sets. So you could add a set on one day, a set on another day. You could add a set to this exercise, a set to that exercise to get that increase, and then run that for a period of time and see if that helps you get progress, okay? So don't go from doing, I'm doing 10 sets to 25. That might be ill-informed or not the best idea, but 20% increase, see if that works. You can always add another 20% after that if you need it, right? Now, if you like how this push workout goes, please hit the subscribe up here. If you want to see how I train some of my other muscle groups, click this playlist up here. And remember, as always, it's all about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.